All right, let's talk crypto. With all the noise out there, the crazy predictions, the social media shouting, it's really easy to get lost. So today, we're going to cut through all of that. We're going to separate the wild community hype from the cold, hard data to see what's really going on under the hood. And to do that, we have to start with one big question. So what is the real story here? Is this the genuine bull run, built on something solid? Or is it just another wave of pure speculation? Well, to figure that out, you have to understand that this is basically a battle between two massive competing forces. On one side, you've got the hype. And you know what I'm talking about. It's that raw energy from the community, right? The nonstop social media posts, the insane price targets, and that powerful fear of missing out that can send a coin to the moon based on nothing more than a good story. And then there's the other side, reality. This is all the stuff that gets swept under the rug when everyone's excited. We're talking about the actual on-chain data, what's really happening on the blockchain, the stubborn price ceilings that are hard to break, and the real risks that everyone tends to ignore when the charts are all green. Right now, the entire market is taking its cues from Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has been holding strong above a really critical level, $112,000. See, when the king stays steady like this, it gives everyone else confidence. Money starts to flow into the smaller coins, the altcoins, and it gives them room to breathe and, well, maybe even rally. And that brings us to a term you've probably been hearing a lot, alt season. This is that sort of magical moment when altcoins just go absolutely nuts, posting huge gains and sometimes even leaving Bitcoin in the dust. And the idea that we might be on the verge of one right now, well, that's what's pouring gasoline on all this hype. So to really see this tug of war between hype and reality in action, we're going to break down 4 of the biggest players in the conversation today. We've got Chainlink, the unstoppable oracle, Solana, the meme coin magnet, Sui, the new challenger on the block, and XRP, the payments pioneer. Each one tells a totally different story. First up, let's talk about Chainlink. If you've been around crypto for a while, you know this is a big one. It's the dominant oracle network, really a cornerstone of the whole ecosystem. And man, the community is feeling it. The chatter online is overwhelmingly bullish. People are confidently calling for big price jumps. There's this feeling that if an alt season really is coming, Chainlink is going to be one of the projects leading the charge. So, why all the excitement? Well, the hype is actually built on some pretty solid pillars. First, Chainlink is absolutely dominating the conversation around bringing real-world assets onto the blockchain. The technical traders are also pointing to a really powerful pattern on its price chart. On top of all that, a lot of investors just see it as a safer, blue-chip kind of crypto to hold for the long term, especially when it has huge partners like Google Cloud. With a foundation like that, it sounds like a total slam dunk, right? Well, not so fast. This is where we have to pump the brakes and bring in that reality check. Okay, look at this contrast. The hype is screaming about 10x gains, maybe even $100 a coin. But reality steps in and points to a really strong historical price wall at the $25 mark. While everyone sees it as an independent leader, the data shows that 70% of its positive sentiment is actually just riding Bitcoin's coattails. And even with those rock-solid fundamentals, a key indicator called the RSI is signaling it might be overbought, meaning it's gone up too fast and could be due for a pullback. The key takeaway here? It's strong for sure, but it's not invincible. Okay, so that's a foundational project, like Chainlink. Now let's switch gears to a totally different animal, Solana, the high-speed blockchain that everyone loves to call a major Ethereum competitor. The energy around Solana right now is just electric. And a huge reason for that is its meme coin scene. It's so easy to launch tokens that it's created this culture of insane rapid-fire speculation. As this quote says, it's just pure FOMO fuel. The hype around Solana is all about performance and just explosive growth. You've got the meme coin scene bringing in massive trading volume, the whole ecosystem is growing at a wild pace, and of course, there are those whispers about a potential Solana ETF, which could open the floodgates to big institutional money. It's all built on a reputation for being incredibly fast and cheap. And check this out, the hype isn't just talk. 1.2 million. That's the number of daily active users on Solana. To put that into perspective, that's often more than major competitors like Ethereum. It's a massive, real metric that proves people are actually using the network. But, and this is a big but, here's that reality check. When you break down where all that activity is coming from, a full 40% of it is driven by those highly speculative meme coins. Now, that sector is famously volatile. While it's fueling incredible growth today, it's also a huge risk if that narrative suddenly changes. All right, our third contender is Sui. This is a newer blockchain that's been catching everyone's attention with some seriously explosive price moves. It's the new challenger on the block. A lot of the hype around Sui is coming directly from the technical traders. They're all pointing to this classic bullish pattern called a falling wedge. Basically, it just means the price is getting squeezed into a tighter and tighter range, and when that happens, it can often lead to a big, powerful breakout to the upside. That potential rally is what's fueling so much of the excitement. But with any new project, the gap between potential and the present can be huge. Sui's potential is staggering. It's been tested at nearly 300,000 transactions per second. The reality today, though, adoption is still tiny. Most of the hype is just about the price momentum, not utility. And it's facing a big risk of a major price drop if it fails to break through its previous all-time high. And finally, let's look at an established player that has a whole new story, XRP. After a long, drawn-out battle with regulators, it's making a comeback, and its narrative is now all about real-world utility and payments. The optimism here is built on a totally different foundation. The biggest driver? Finally getting regulatory clarity after that long legal battle with the SEC. On-chain data is also showing that investors are holding their tokens for the long term. Plus, its main product for cross-border payments is seeing real, growing volume. All of this is building a view of XRP as a potentially safer bet in a really volatile market. Okay, so we've looked at the hype and the reality for 4 very different crypto projects. Now, let's put it all together and figure out the final takeaway. This scorecard really just lays it all out, doesn't it? For Chainlink, you have the 10x gains hype, but the reality is its heavy dependence on the broader market. For Solana, the ETH killer narrative is backed by huge user numbers, but it's also propped up by a fragile meme coin scene. With Sui, the to-the-moon hype is just running way ahead of its actual adoption. And for XRP, the comeback story is backed by real utility, but so much of its narrative is still driven by rumors and pure speculation. So here's the bottom line. Every single compelling story in crypto has an underlying reality that is always more complex. The hype tells you what could be, the data tells you what is. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. In a market that is so powerfully driven by stories, which reality are you going to choose to see?